It's my European tour today. I'm going across Europe to share some bizarre, unsettling, and possibly real urban legends with all of you. I'm your host, James, so join me as I discuss the top 10 scary European urban legends that are too real to ignore. And we're kicking off this list with the Scandinavian Gjenganger. Gjenganger, that's a hard word to say. Might be mispronouncing it. Originating in the folklore of Scandinavia, particularly Norway and Sweden, the Gjenganger is believed to be the embodiment of a deceased individual who returns from the grave to haunt the living. These spectral beings typically manifest with a pale complexion, dressed in tattered burial garments. They're often associated with unfinished business or unresolved grievances, seeking retribution or closure. It kind of sounds like a normal ghost, but they actually are very, very different. Legend has it that encountering one of these beings brings great misfortune and even death to those who cross its path. Instead of just appearing in the background of photographs or whispering incoherent sentences into spirit boxes like your regular old vanilla ghosts, the Gjenganger are malicious spirits that can actually cause physical harm. The mere sight of these spectral beings is said to invoke a profound sense of dread and foreboding, as they are believed to possess this malevolent intent, even towards loved ones. Efforts to ward off or appease one of these beings have been present in Scandinavian folklore for centuries. Traditional rituals like offering prayers, performing protective charms, or conducting burial rites were believed to provide some defense against their haunting presence. At number 9, we have a letter from a blind man. This one is short, but man, is it chilling. A dark tale that began circulating just after one of the darkest periods in modern history. In post-World War II in Berlin, a time plagued by scarcity, poverty, and hunger, a tale spoke of a young woman who encountered a blind man navigating his way through a bustling crowd. The two ended up striking a conversation, leading the man to ask if she could deliver a letter to the specified address on the envelope for him. Considering it was conveniently on her route home, she agreed to help. As she turned to walk away, though, she craned her head back momentarily to see if there was anything else she could assist the blind man with, and to her astonishment, she caught sight of him hastily making his way through the crowd without his dark glasses or his white cane. Understandably, she was pretty suspicious at this point and headed over to report the incident to the authorities. The police swiftly raided the address mentioned in the letter, where they uncovered a gruesome discovery. In the home were piles of human flesh intended for sale, and within the envelope entrusted to the young woman was a chilling message that read, "This is the last one I am sending you today." The Beast of Gevaudan, terrifying creature's tale, has become a blend of fact, fiction, and folklore. The legend speaks of a monstrous beast that haunted the rural landscape of Gevaudan, a region in south-central France, during the mid-18th century. According to the stories, the creature possessed an insatiable appetite for human flesh, targeting women and children as its preferred victims. Descriptions varied, but many accounts depicted a fearsome creature resembling a massive-sized wolf or a hybrid predator, possibly with blood-red eyes and a black stripe running down its back. Its ruthless attacks, coupled with its supposed invincibility against conventional weaponry, left the people in a state of dread, desperation, and as the legend grew, so did the attempts to bring an end to the creature's reign of terror. Countless hunters, soldiers, and villagers embarked on these journeys to track down and take out the beast, yet the creature thwarted their efforts time and time again, evading traps, bullets, and even organized hunts. The legend reached its climax when a local hunter named Jean Chastel claimed to have slain the beast using a silver bullet. Over the years, legend of the Beast of Gevaudan has been dissected by historians, mythologists, and enthusiasts, giving rise to various theories about the true nature of the creature. And apparently this did happen, it's just we're not quite sure if it was some sort of paranormal creature, like a werewolf, or if it was just a particularly large rogue wolf. Number 7. The Well to Hell. The Well to Hell urban legend was spread through whispers, emails, and internet forums. According to the legend, in 1989, a team of Russian scientists drilled a hole deep in an unknown location in Siberia, and as they delved deeper into the Earth's crust, they allegedly pierced a barrier that unleashed unimaginable horrors. The story goes that as the drill reached an astonishing depth, the temperature spiked dramatically and strange sounds began emanating from the hole. The team lowered a heat-tolerant microphone down into the hole, and disturbingly, the team claimed to have detected agonizing screams of tormented souls and eerie demonic voices rising from the depths. Terrified, they quickly withdrew the drill, fearing that they had inadvertently opened a gateway to hell itself. There is an audio recording of this supposed hellish audio, and spoiler alert, it's been ruled as a hoax. However, it is pretty unsettling to listen to. I remember hearing this years and years ago when I was a kid, and it kind of freaked me out. Next on the list, we have the Faceless Woman. This story takes place in the London Underground at Beacon Tree Station. The story goes that a station supervisor was working the late shift, minding his own business, when the door to his office started to shake. First, he just brushed it off, thinking it was just the rumble of passing trains on other lines, but when the door didn't stop rattling, even into the wee hours of the morning when no more trains were running, the worker decided probably time to leave. He headed up to the upper office where his coworker was stationed, and as he was making his way up the staircase, he just couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Someone was trailing behind him. He turned around and was greeted by a disturbing sight. A woman stood below him with long blonde hair and without a face, standing just a few feet away. He suddenly dashed up the stairs in a panic before finally finding safety in the top office. Once there, colleague could see the fear in his face before asking him, "Did you see a woman with long blonde hair and no face?" Next up is the Vanishing Hotel Room, aka the Vanishing Lady. This legend began circulating in the late 1800s, taking place in France. Like with most urban legends, there are multiple versions of the tale, but it goes something like this. A mother and daughter had recently arrived in Paris. They check into a hotel, but pretty soon the mother begins feeling ill, collapses. A doctor arrives who informs the daughter that her mother will need medicine. That can only be picked up at the other end of town. The daughter sets out to get the medicine, but when she returns to the hotel hours later, her mother is no longer there. In a panic, she asks the staff where her mother is, but they all claim not to know who she's talking about. According to them, the girl had arrived at the hotel on her own. In some versions of the story, the girl suffers a mental breakdown and ends up at a mental institution. In another version of the legend, it is revealed that the mother had actually died of the Black Plague, and the hotel tried to cover it up by disposing of her body and pretending like they'd never seen her in order to avoid bad publicity. At number 4, we have the Russian sleep experiment. This story began circulating online, and according to the chilling tale, in 1947, Soviet researchers conducted a classified experiment in which 5 subjects were kept awake for an extended period of time. The goal was to test the effects of sleep deprivation on human physiology and their mental state. Days turned into weeks, however. The subjects began to exhibit disturbing behavior. They became increasingly paranoid and delusional, plagued by hallucinations and exhibiting signs of extreme psychological distress. Desperate attempts to stay awake led to self-mutilation as they tore into their own flesh, driven to madness by their sleep-deprived states. The most horrifying twist and the legend comes when the researchers decided to release a gas into the chamber in order to induce sleep. However, instead of providing relief, the gas triggered a nightmarish frenzy of violence. The researchers entered the room only to find one man still standing. The bodies of the other 4 men, or at least what remained of them, lay strewn about the room. Next, we have another urban legend from the London Underground, the Crying Girl of King's Cross Station. In 1987, deep underground underground in the tunnels of the London subway at King's Cross Station, a fire had broken out. The fire took the lives of 31 people, and some say they still hear the wails and cries of the poor souls who lost their lives there, especially the crying woman. Late at night, when the platform is mostly deserted, some say they spot a woman dressed in jeans and a t-shirt, sobbing into the night, the echoes of her cries reverberating off the long, empty tunnels. When they go to approach her, though, she simply disappears. Coming in at number 2, we have the Black Volga. The urban legend of the Black Volga is a chilling tale that is circulated in various parts of the world, but particularly in Eastern Europe. According to the legend, a menacing black luxury car, often identified as a Volga sedan, prowls the streets at night, instilling fear in all who cross its path. The Black Volga is said to be driven by mysterious figures, frequently described as malevolent entities or agents of the supernatural. Witnesses claim that the vehicle appears seemingly out of nowhere, its engine roaring ominously as it glides silently through the darkness. The car's windows are tinted, hiding the occupants from view and shrouding their intentions in secrecy. Terrifying encounters with the Black Volga involve tales of kidnappings, disappearances, or even encounters with supernatural beings. Some versions of the legend suggest that the car is driven by vampires or other supernatural creatures preying on unsuspecting victims in the dead of night. Some have actually theorized that perhaps the Polish secret police spread these more outlandish legends in order to invalidate claims of genuine kidnappings carried out by the government. And at number 1, we have the Catacombs video. Now, this video really does exist. It's just the person behind the camera who's never been identified, which has led to multiple theories about the circumstances of this case. Is it just a hoax, or was this actually a man who got lost in the catacombs, never to be seen again? This is one most of you have probably heard of, but it's a story that's always stuck with me, one that chilled me to the bone when I first heard about it and watched footage. The video is said to have been filmed in the early 90s, possibly 1993. In the black and white footage, we see a POV of the cameraman as he makes his way through the dark tunnels of the Paris catacombs. Soon, though, his breathing begins to intensify and he picks up his pace, now running aimlessly through the tunnels until he finally drops his camera altogether. Continuing to run further into the darkness, the camera continues to record until the battery dies. The camera was found later on, and searches were made for this mysterious man, but no body was ever discovered. With all that said, I've been your host, James, and I'll catch you, yes, you specifically, in the next video.